Chapter 10. Viral. No! Don't hurt the puppies! Delia woke from her nightmare with a scream. Her neck burned from trying to breathe. She could still feel the mannequin's plastic fingers locked around her shoulders. She remembered the puppies screaming and finding their pen empty. She bolted out of bed and down the stairs, taking them two at a time, and rushed into the kitchen in a panic. "Radar," she said, skidding across the room. "Are you okay?" But the pen was empty. The puppies were gone. Someone took them, Delia thought. Panicked, she was about to yell out for help when her eyes landed on the bay window in the living room. It was a rare, clear, sunny winter day that made it feel warmer than it actually was. Mrs. Smith was outside in the small, grassy backyard with the puppies. They were crawling around on the narrow strip of dead grass, which was dotted with puddles from the melting snow. The puppies played with each other, biting ears, noses, and tails. Basically, whatever came within reach of their needle-sharp puppy teeth. Mrs. Smith saw Delia in the kitchen and waved. A bright smile broke over her face, and she beamed down at her miniature charges. She was in her happy place. Sunlight, puppies, helping needy souls. What more could she want? Delia almost fainted with relief. The puppies are okay. Even little Radar was wrestling with one of his bigger brothers, flopping around in an adorable way. It was just a nightmare. What had gotten into her? But then everything came flooding back. She remembered how, in her dream, the mannequin leapt out of the shadows at her and called her a thief. And that was exactly what she was. A surge of guilt welled up inside her, making her throat constrict. That's probably what had triggered the nightmare, her guilt over taking the coat. She climbed out of bed, realizing that she'd fallen asleep wearing the thing. She rubbed the sleep from her eyes and peered at the coat in the mirror. Instantly, a deep feeling of possessiveness washed through her. Compared to her appearance over the previous 2 days, with the zombie zit on her nose and frizzy hair, she looked flawless this morning. The monster zit had magically vanished, and her skin was perfection. It looked like a filter had been layered over her reflection, but that was impossible. This was real life. It had to be the coat, she realized with a start. Maybe there really was something magical about it, and if that were the case, how could she ever give it up? But then she remembered her fight with her mom the night before and the nightmare she just suffered through. How could she not take the coat back? Delia stared into her own eyes in the mirror. A day or two. That was all she needed. Then she could return it to the store. In the meantime, she needed to show up at school and prove Harper and her friends wrong. She had to show them that she could wear House of DeVille and pull it off. All she needed was for Harper to take down the horrible post about her. Then, maybe, she'd even change her mind about Delia and want to be friends. Buoyed by that thought, Delia stripped the coat off to change her clothes and get ready for school, draping it carefully across her bed. She hated not having the coat on for even a few short minutes. She kept glancing at it to make sure it was real and still there on the bed, that it wasn't something she'd imagined. Ping! Ready to post to pick perfect? Don't let your ranking slide. This time, Delia was actually excited by the alert on her phone. She slipped back into the Corella coat and spun around. Stretching her arm overhead, she snapped a few quick selfies in different poses, her head thrust back, her hair falling over her shoulders. Click, click, click. Then she flipped through the pics on her phone. The Corella coat made her look more glamorous with its color block pattern and beautiful tailoring. It hugged her body in all the right places, looking both warm and sumptuous, yet sleek and fashionable at the same time. But it was more than the coat. Every single selfie she took came out flawless, even without using any filters or doing any corrections. She compared them to her prior selfies, all posted in her feed from before she discovered the coat. She couldn't believe how different she looked in the new ones. She almost didn't recognize herself, but it was her, just a more perfect version of her. All right, sweetie. Usually, Delia hated every single selfie she snapped. They never seemed to come out right. She could always pick out flaws in her appearance, but not today. It was true. The coat had some sort of magical powers. This was what she had always dreamed about. This coat was the answer to all her prayers. She quickly posted a collage of selfies to Pick Perfect without filters and tagged them hashtag House of Deville, hashtag no filter, hashtag selfie. The second she hit post, she felt a secret thrill imagining what people would say. She clutched her phone as she waited for her Pick Perfect post to go live. But before she could see it, her mom yelled at her to get ready for school. "Coming!" Delia called out in a cheerful voice. For the first time all week, Delia was actually excited to go to her new school. She couldn't wait for Harper to see her wearing the Corella coat, to prove her and the Glam Posse wrong, not to mention Alia and Zoe. They would so regret Harper's awful, embarrassing post. Delia sashayed into the kitchen wearing the coat. She could feel a smile stretching her lips. She was even humming. This was very unlike her, but she couldn't hide her good mood. Her mother looked up from her coffee in surprise. "Well, someone's in a good mood today," she said, looking Delia up and down. Delia stood there in the coat. She cringed for a second, expecting another fight, or for her mother to demand that she return it again, which was the last thing Delia wanted to do at that moment. "Listen, Mom, I'm sorry about last night," Delia started, but then to her surprise, her mom gave her an approving nod. "I have to admit, that coat suits you," Mom said. "Maybe I was wrong about it. It does look awfully warm and stylish. Maybe I should get one too." Delia's mouth dropped open in shock. Her mother almost never admitted when she was wrong, even when it was obvious. Another reason she would probably make a great attorney. "I completely agree," Mrs. Smith said from the sofa in the living room. She caught Delia's eye and winked conspiratorially. Clearly, she'd been working on her mother to change her mind about the coat. Delia grinned, pulling the coat tighter around her and stroking the soft faux fur. She glanced at the puppies in their pen and realized she was growing up and getting her own metaphorical spots now too. This coat was changing everything. It was making her life better in ways that were more than just purely fashion related. She couldn't fully explain it. All she knew was this was going to be the best day ever. The second Delia stepped into Gilded Crest Academy wearing her new coat, students flocked over her like she was famous. She strutted down the hallway, the coat swishing luxuriously around her ankles. She felt like a celeb or an influencer. Yeah, there was no way she was returning this coat. At least, not yet. Harper met Delia's eyes, then approached with Charlotte and Ella on her heels. They all wore their House of Deville boots as they clomped toward her down the hall. The hallway grew hushed, but Delia stood her ground. She placed her hands on her hips, feeling the soft faux fur of the coat. It gave her the confidence to face them. Harper came to a halt right in front of her. Delia braced herself as the mean girl gave her a sharp up and down look, then cocked her eyebrow. "Did you check your Pick Perfect account recently?" Harper said. Why? Did you see my morning post?" Delia said, twirling her hair around her finger and trying to sound nonchalante. "Did I see it?" Harper said. Like the whole world saw it." "Wait, What do you mean? Delia said in surprise. In the rush to get to school, she hadn't checked her phone since she got off the train. Sure, her morning selfie had been racking up plenty of hearts from some Gilded Crest kids. Even Ollie and Zoe had sent her hearts. Maybe she would forgive them for liking Harper's post yesterday. Maybe. Your post, totally went viral, Harper said, and everyone is majorly hearting it. Yeah, just a few minutes ago, Charlotte added with an excited squeal. A bunch of people started sharing it, and it was trending, and then, boom! It's everywhere suddenly. You're practically like an influencer now, Ella chimed in. The glam posse nodded excitedly, looking at her like she was a superstar. It did... What? Delia said, unable to believe it. She pulled out her phone and checked the comments on her post. Sure enough, hearts spilled down the feed, pushing her post to the top of the ranks. Not even one devil face appeared. The only accounts ranked higher at her school were the glam posse. She couldn't believe her eyes. All her wishes were coming true. Harper studied Delia's coat in awe. Gotta admit it, I didn't think you'd really pull it off, Harper said. After your post, I had to see it for myself. I thought it would be another fake. But look at that coat. Yeah, I know, right? Delia stammered, all still reading from the shock. I almost died of FOMO when I saw your post, Charlotte added, her long dark hair swishing around her shoulders. She pursed her lips approvingly. It looks like an actual Corella coat, Ella chirped up, studying the distinctive black and white pattern. They're super rare and, impossible to get. Super rare, Harper added. I heard there was only one made. Well, I don't know about that, Delia said, trying to sound chill, but I know I'm super lucky to have this one. Look, I'm sorry I doubted you, Harper said, looking genuinely apologetic. I guess you were just trying to play it cool your first couple days here. Thanks, Delia said. And yeah, that's exactly right. Harper looped her arm through Delia's, leading her down the hall. Charlotte and Ella trailed behind them. Other students stopped to stare as they passed by. They'd all seen her post by now. She could hear them whispering. Wow, look, it's her! That coat is gorgeous! So where did you get it? Harper asked, pulling Delia close and whispering in her ear. Her fingers stroked the faux fur sleeve. You've gotta hook me up. I've been on the House of DeVille waiting list for a coat forever, and you got the color block one. You can't even order that one. The clan posse stared at her excitedly. Harper met her gaze and lowered her voice. You gotta tell me your little secret. How did you find it? She cooed. I promised I wouldn't tell, Delia said. Her throat went dry. She couldn't confess to Harper she stole it. Or, well, lifted it from the garbage. Sorta. An irritated look crossed Harper's face, but it was gone as fast as it appeared. Okay, well, stick with us, Harper said with a smile. You belong in the glam posse. A thrill went through Delia's chest. The most